The Cartier watch on Eliza Winter's wrist showed 9:58 a.m. as she strode through the gleaming headquarters of Lumiere, one of the world's most prestigious luxury fashion houses. Employees nodded respectfully as she passed. After all, she was both chief marketing officer and married to Nathan Winters, the CEO who had transformed Lumiere from a fading legacy brand into the crown jewel of modern luxury. "Morning, Eliza," called Diane from reception. Nathan's executive meeting started early. "They're waiting for you in the alabaster room." Eliza frowned. "Early? I wasn't notified." "The memo went out at 6 a.m., Diane said, her smile faltering slightly. "I assumed you knew." Eliza's stomach tightened. Nathan had been sleeping in the guest room for weeks, citing late nights and early mornings. They barely spoke anymore. When she entered the conference room, every head turned. Nathan sat at the far end, flanked by board members and executives in somber suits. His expression was unreadable. "Eliza, thank you for joining us," he said, his voice professionally pleasant. "Please, take a seat." She remained standing. "What's this about, Nathan?" Marcus Hobbs, the elderly chairman of the board, cleared his throat. "Mrs. Winters, perhaps you should sit." "I prefer to stand," she replied, noting the folder marked confidential in front of each person. Nathan nodded to his assistant, who closed the door with a gentle click. "The board has been conducting a comprehensive review of our executive structure," Nathan began, his blue eyes never leaving hers. "In light of recent market challenges and our upcoming global expansion, we've determined that significant changes are needed." Eliza's pulse quickened. "What kind of changes?" "Effective immediately, we're restructuring the marketing division," Nathan continued, his voice eerily calm. "We've decided to terminate your position as chief marketing officer." The room blurred around her. "You're firing me?" "This isn't personal, Eliza. It's strategic realignment." She laughed incredulously. "Not personal? You're my husband. At Lumiere, I'm the CEO first," he said, the words precise as knife cuts. "The company needs fresh vision and leadership as we expand into Asian markets." "And who?" she asked, her voice dangerously quiet. "Will be providing this fresh vision." Nathan glanced at Marcus, who nodded slightly. "We've secured Vanessa Harlow as our new global marketing director," Nathan said. "Her experience with luxury markets in Hong Kong and Shanghai is exactly what we need right now." The name hit Eliza like a physical blow. Vanessa Harlow. Nathan's ex-girlfriend from before they met. The woman he'd nearly married. "I see," Eliza said, her voice unnaturally calm as rage and humiliation coursed through her. "When does she start?" "She's already here," Nathan replied. Orientation began this morning. Something fractured inside Eliza. Trust, love, or perhaps just the last remnant of naivety that had allowed her to believe that marrying Nathan Winters had been about love rather than acquisition. "You'll receive a generous severance package," Marcus was saying, sliding papers toward her. "And naturally, your shares in the company remain untouched." Eliza ignored the documents. Instead, she removed her wedding ring, a flawless 5-carat diamond in Lumiere's signature setting, and placed it deliberately on the table. "Keep it," she said, looking directly at Nathan. "Consider it my contribution to the company's fresh vision." Then she turned and walked out, her stilettos clicking against the marble floor, head high, despite the tears threatening to spill. Not one of them, not even her husband of 3 years, called after her. Only when she reached her Tesla in the executive parking garage did she allow herself to brake, pounding the steering wheel as sobs racked her body. "You think you know me," she whispered between gasping breaths. "You have no idea who I really am." 3 years earlier. "I'm not interested in being some trophy wife," Eliza said, sipping her martini as she gazed across the table at Nathan Winters. The restaurant, perched on the 50th floor of a Manhattan skyscraper, sparkled with city lights below them. Their first date had turned into their 5th, and something was happening between them that made Eliza both excited and wary. Nathan leaned back, studying her with those penetrating blue eyes that had first caught her attention at the charity gala where they'd met. "Is that what you think I'm looking for?" he asked. "Aren't most CEOs? Especially ones running fashion empires?" He smiled, the expression transforming his normally serious face. "If I wanted a trophy, I wouldn't be pursuing a woman who just eviscerated my company's entire marketing strategy during a blind date." She'd done exactly that, not realizing who he was when her friend had set them up. By the time she discovered she'd been criticizing Lumiere's approach to the man who ran it, it was too late to backpedal. "You needed to hear it," she replied, unapologetic. "Luxury isn't just about exclusivity anymore. It's about meaning, connection. Your campaigns were beautiful but empty. And that's why I'm offering you a job, not just dinner," Nathan said, reaching across the table to take her hand. "Lumiere needs your vision, Eliza, and I think I might need it too." The dual offer, professional opportunity and personal connection, was intoxicating. Nathan wasn't just handsome and wealthy. He was brilliant, driven, and seemed genuinely captivated by her mind. When he looked at her, she felt seen in a way no other man had managed. "Working together and dating could get complicated," she pointed out. "Life's complicated," he countered. "But some combinations are worth the risk." 6 months later, they were married in a ceremony featured in Vogue. A year after that, Eliza's rebranding of Lumiere had boosted sales by 42% and earned her the title of Chief Marketing Officer. Their life together seemed perfect. Power couple by day, passionate partners by night. But 3 months ago, something had changed. "You're distracted again," Eliza said, watching Nathan stare at his phone during what was supposed to be their anniversary dinner. He looked up, guilt flickering across his features. "I'm sorry. The Shanghai flagship opening is—" "I know exactly what the Shanghai opening entails," she interrupted. "I'm heading the entire marketing campaign, remember?" He set down his phone. "Of course. I'm sorry." But the apology felt hollow, and later that night, when he claimed a migraine and retreated to the guest bedroom, Eliza lay awake wondering when they had started drifting apart. Was it the pressure of the expansion? The board's constant demands for growth? Or something else entirely? The next morning, she found a message on Nathan's tablet while he was showering, an email he'd forgotten to close. "Nathan, everything is arranged for my arrival. I appreciate your discretion in handling this personally rather than going through HR. I'm excited to work together again after all these years. Looking forward to seeing you." Vanessa Eliza had heard the name before, a woman from Nathan's past. He'd dated her seriously before meeting Eliza, a relationship that ended when their career paths diverged. Vanessa had moved to Hong Kong to work for a rival luxury brand. When she casually mentioned the name over breakfast, Nathan's reaction was too controlled, too casual. "Vanessa Harlow? Yes, I've been in contact. She has valuable connections in the Asian market. We might bring her on as a consultant." "A consultant?" Eliza repeated. "Shouldn't that go through my department?" "It's preliminary," he said, not meeting her eyes. "Nothing to concern yourself with yet." But now, sitting in her car outside Lumiere headquarters, the truth crashed down on her. Not just a consultant, her replacement. And Nathan had orchestrated it all behind her back, bringing his former lover into their company while pushing his wife out. Her phone buzzed with a text from her assistant. "Security is coming to escort you from the building." Nathan's orders. "I'm so sorry," wiping away tears, Eliza started her car. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. For 3 days, Eliza disappeared from public view. She didn't answer calls from friends or colleagues. She checked into the Four Seasons under her maiden name and sat in contemplative silence, formulating a plan. On the 4th day, she called the one person who would understand. "I was wondering when I'd hear from you," said the crisp voice on the other end of the line. "Hello, grandmother," Eliza replied. Eleanor Chen, at 82, remained one of the most formidable figures in international business. She had built Chen Investments from nothing into a global powerhouse, and though she had supposedly retired a decade ago, her influence remained immense. "I saw the news," Eleanor said. "Lumiere announced your departure in a press release yesterday. Creative differences, they called it." Eliza laughed bitterly. "Is that what they're saying? What do you want to do about it?" The directness was typical of her grandmother, No coddling, no sentiment, just practical next steps. I need your help, Eliza admitted, but not in the way you might think. You don't want me to destroy them? Eleanor asked, and Eliza could hear the raised eyebrow in her voice. That would be easily arranged. No, Eliza said firmly. I want to do this myself. My way. There was a pause, then a sound that might have been approval. Tell me what you need. 2 weeks later, Vanessa Harlow was settling into her new office, Eliza's former space, hastily redecorated to erase any trace of the previous occupant. The view of Central Park remained stunning, the furniture still sleek and expensive, but the personal touches were gone. Nathan had been surprisingly distant since her arrival. Yes, he'd personally recruited her, wooing her away from her position in Hong Kong with promises of greater autonomy and an equity stake. Yes, there had been moments during those negotiations when the old chemistry flickered between them. But since her actual arrival, he'd been all business, their interactions strictly professional. She understood. His marriage might be faltering, it was obvious, from the gossip and the strained way people avoided mentioning Eliza, but Nathan was too disciplined to complicate matters further while the separation was still fresh. Patience had always been Vanessa's strength. She knew how to wait for what she wanted. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Come in, she called, looking up to see Patricia, the head of HR. Ms. Harlow, you have a meeting at 11 with our major shareholder, Patricia said, placing a folder on her desk. The car will be waiting downstairs. Vanessa frowned. Major shareholder? I thought that was the Winters Family Trust. No, Patricia replied with a puzzled expression. The largest individual shareholder is Chen Holdings. Chen Holdings? Vanessa repeated. The name was vaguely familiar from her research into Lumiere's corporate structure, but Nathan had never mentioned them as significant players. And they want to meet with marketing specifically. They requested you personally, Patricia confirmed. The meeting's at their headquarters. All the details are in the folder. After Patricia left, Vanessa quickly skimmed the brief. Chen Holdings owned 26% of Lumiere, more than Nathan himself, who held 22%. How had she missed this? More importantly, why hadn't Nathan emphasized this relationship? The Blacktown car delivered her to a sleek skyscraper in Midtown. In the elevator riding up to the 60th floor, Vanessa mentally prepared her presentation. If Chen Holdings owned such a significant portion of Lumiere, cultivating their support would be crucial to her success. She was escorted through a minimalist reception area into a vast office with panoramic views. A slender woman stood at the window, back turned, silhouetted against the skyline. Ms. Harlow, said the assistant. Ms. Chen will see you now. The figure at the window turned, and Vanessa felt the floor shift beneath her. Hello, Vanessa, said Eliza, her expression coolly professional. Thank you for coming, Eliza, Vanessa stammered. I don't understand. Please sit, Eliza gestured to a chair across from the massive desk. We have much to discuss. Vanessa remained standing. What is this? Some kind of joke? No joke, Eliza replied, taking her own seat. Just business. Chen is my family name. My grandmother founded Chen Holdings 50 years ago. When I married Nathan, I chose to use his name professionally to avoid nepotism whispers. Very few people at Lumiere know of my connection. Nathan knows, surely, Vanessa said, her mind racing to recalculate everything. Of course, Eliza said with a slight smile. It was in our prenup, though I'm beginning to wonder if he fully appreciated the implications. The door opened again, and an elderly woman entered, leaning slightly on a sleek carbon fiber cane that somehow only enhanced her aura of authority. Grandmother, Eliza said, standing. This is Vanessa Harlow, Lumiere's new marketing director. Former marketing director, the old woman corrected, giving Vanessa an assessing look. As of this morning. I don't understand, Vanessa said again, anger beginning to replace confusion. You can't fire me. Nathan doesn't have final say in hiring and firing at the executive level, Eliza interrupted. That authority rests with the board. And as my grandmother was just informing them, Chen Holdings is exercising its right to replace the company's chief marketing officer with a candidate of our choosing. Vanessa felt ice spreading through her veins. You set me up. No, Eliza said, her voice hardening. Nathan set you up. I'm merely ensuring that his poor judgment doesn't damage a company my family has invested considerably in. This is about your marriage, Vanessa accused. You're using corporate power to fight a personal battle. Eleanor Chen made a disapproving noise. Ms. Harlow, nothing about this is personal. My granddaughter has been Lumiere's most successful CMO in 2 decades. Her removal was ill-advised from a business perspective. We're simply correcting a mistake. Nathan will fight this, Vanessa said, though uncertainty crept into her voice. He's welcome to try, Eliza replied, but he might want to review the shareholder agreement first. Meanwhile, your termination package is generous. I suggest you take it. Vanessa stood very still, absorbing the sudden reversal of fortune. She'd left a secure position in Hong Kong, relocated her entire life, all because Nathan had promised her not just a job, but a future. Implied, if not stated outright. He didn't know you would do this, she said finally. Did he? For the first time, real emotion flickered across Eliza's composed features. No. He thought I would retreat quietly, nursing my wounds while you took my place. He forgot who I am, she leaned forward. But then, so did you. There was nothing more to say. Vanessa turned to leave, her dreams of triumphant return to New York shattered. Ms. Harlow, Eleanor called after her. Vanessa paused but didn't turn around. My granddaughter lobbied for your severance package against my advice. I would have offered nothing. Remember that when you're considering your next move. The message was clear. Be grateful and walk away. Or face worse consequences. When Vanessa had gone, Eleanor turned to Eliza with approval in her sharp eyes. Clean, efficient? She nodded. Your mother would be proud. Thank you, Eliza said, the compliment warming her despite everything. But this was just the opening move. And Nathan? Eleanor asked, one eyebrow raised. What do you intend to do about your husband? Eliza looked out at the city spread below them. That, she said quietly, depends entirely on him. The Winters penthouse overlooking Central Park had featured an Architectural Digest just 6 months earlier, a showcase of modern luxury and meticulous taste. Tonight, it felt like a battlefield to Nathan as he entered to find Eliza sitting calmly in the living room, a glass of wine in hand. You're home, he said, surprise evident in his voice. He'd assumed she'd moved out after the board meeting. It is still my home, she replied. For now. He set down his briefcase, loosening his tie. You've been busy today, have I? Don't play games, Eliza. You know exactly what you did. She took a sip of wine. I protected my family's investment. By firing Vanessa? By undermining my authority as CEO? By preventing you from making a catastrophic business decision based on personal feelings, she corrected. The board agrees with me, by the way. Even Marcus, once I walked him through the numbers. Nathan poured himself a scotch, needing the burn of alcohol. So what happens now? You force your way back into the CMO position? No, she said simply. That caught him off guard. No? I'm not returning to Lumiere as an executive. I've recommended Diane Lee from our Tokyo office for the CMO position. She's brilliant and the board has approved her appointment. Then what do you want? Eliza set down her glass. Answers, Nathan. Let's start with the obvious. Why did you fire me? He looked away. The company needed— Don't, she cut him off. Don't recite that press release nonsense to me. The truth, Nathan. You owe me that much. The silence stretched between them. Finally, he spoke. Because it was getting too hard, he admitted, the words seeming to drag from him. Seeing you every day, watching you succeed, knowing that without the Chen connection, you'd still have outshined me. She stared at him. You fired me because I was good at my job? I fired you because I couldn't stand knowing that I needed you more than you needed me. The words exploded from him. Do you have any idea what it's like being married to Eliza Chen? The board whispers behind my back that I married into success. That Lumiere's renaissance is all you're doing. So you replaced me with your ex-girlfriend? Eliza's voice was dangerously quiet. To prove what exactly? Vanessa was a mistake, he admitted. A desperate move. Were you sleeping with her? No, he said immediately, meeting her eyes. It wasn't about that. What was it about then? Nathan sank onto the couch, suddenly looking exhausted. Control. The illusion of control, at least. When we met, you were just a brilliant marketer with big ideas. Finding out you were Eleanor Chen's granddaughter changed nothing about who I am, she finished for him. It changed everything about how people see me, he countered. Nathan Winters, the man who married into the Chen fortune. Eliza laughed incredulously. You're a billionaire in your own right, Nathan. Your family name carries plenty of weight. Not like Chen does. Not in the circles that matter. She studied him, seeing for the first time the insecurity behind the confident facade. So firing me and hiring Vanessa was what? Reclaiming your manhood? He winced at her phrasing. It was a mistake. I see that now. A mistake, she repeated, her voice hollow. 3 years of marriage, thrown away on wounded pride. Is that what I've done? He asked quietly. Thrown it away completely? The question hung in the air between them. Eliza stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. I don't know, she answered honestly. That depends. On what? She turned to face him. On whether you still want to be the man who needs Eliza Chen in his life. Not as a trophy, not as a business asset, but as a partner. And if I do? Then we have a lot of work ahead of us, she said, starting with rebuilding trust. And Lumiere? Lumiere will be fine, she said. Diane will excel as CMO, and you... She paused, measuring her words. Will remain CEO, but with oversight from a restructured board that better represents all major shareholders. He recognized the olive branch being extended, even as he felt the gentle tug of the leash. And us? He asked, the vulnerability in his voice striking her. Eliza considered the question carefully. Despite everything, there was still something between them. Something real that had gotten lost in ambition and insecurity. That's the hardest part to predict, she admitted. But I'm willing to try if you are. Not here, though. Not in this penthouse with its perfect view and magazine-worthy decoration. Where then? Somewhere new. Somewhere that's ours, not yours or mine. Somewhere we build together. He nodded slowly, understanding. I can agree to that. There's one more thing, she said, her tone turning serious again. No more secrets, Nathan. No more separate agendas. We're either partners in every sense, or we're nothing. Partners, he echoed, testing the word. Not competitors. Exactly. He crossed the room to stand before her, not touching, but close enough that she could see the regret in his eyes. I'm sorry, Eliza. Truly. I let fear drive me to betray the best thing in my life. Fear makes us all do terrible things, she acknowledged. But so does power. Remember that the next time you're tempted to use yours against someone who loves you. The moment stretched between them. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the possibility of a path forward. Nathan finally nodded, accepting her terms, her wisdom, her strength. What happens tomorrow? He asked. Tomorrow, she said, we face the board together, united. 1 year later, the small cafe in Brooklyn was a far cry from the upscale restaurants Nathan and Eliza had frequented during their courtship. No white tablecloths, no sommelier, no recognition from the tattooed barista who took their order. That was precisely why Eliza had suggested it for their anniversary, their real anniversary, marking not their wedding, but the day they had decided to start again. He still doesn't know who we are, Nathan observed with amusement as the barista called out their drinks without a flicker of recognition. Isn't it refreshing? Eliza replied, claiming their coffees. They settled at a table near the window, watching. Brooklyn life unfold outside, so different from their Manhattan existence. The board approved the sustainability initiative, Nathan said, a hint of pride in his voice. Unanimous vote. That's Diane's influence, Eliza noted. She's been pushing the ethical luxury angle brilliantly. With full support from the CEO, he added with a smile. Who knew going green could boost our margins? Anyone who's been paying attention to Gen Z spending patterns? She teased. They had found a new rhythm over the past year. Nathan remained CEO of Lumiere, while Eliza had stepped away from executive roles to focus on Chen Holdings, taking a more active position in her family's investment firm. Their professional separation had, paradoxically, strengthened their personal connection. How's your grandmother? Nathan asked. Terrifying as ever, Eliza laughed. She's been grilling me about succession planning. I think she wants to fully retire before she turns 90. All 8 years from now, he noted dryly. Exactly. No rush. The ease between them now was hard-won. Months of counseling, painful conversations, and rebuilding trust piece by piece. Their new home, a converted industrial loft in Dumbo, symbolized their fresh start. A blank canvas they had filled together, neither dominating the design. I saw Vanessa's name in the business section, Eliza said, keeping her tone neutral. She's heading marketing for that new Swiss watch company. Nathan nodded. I heard. She'll do well there. You never told me why it ended between you two before. We met, Eliza said, curiosity finally overcoming discretion. He considered the question. We wanted different things, or rather, the same things in different ways. Meaning? Success, recognition, power, he elaborated. But Vanessa saw relationships as strategic alliances, nothing more. I wanted something deeper, even if I lost sight of that for a while with you. Eliza reached across the table, taking his hand. We both lost sight of what mattered. But we found our way back, he said, squeezing her fingers. Her phone buzzed with a text. Eleanor, with her impeccable timing. Decision made on the Singapore. Proposal? Eliza typed a quick reply. Meeting with Nathan tonight. Will advise tomorrow. Grandmother? Nathan guessed. Who else? She's pushing for that expansion into Singapore. And what does Eliza Chen Winters think of the Singapore opportunity? He asked, using her full professional name, the name she had, reclaimed after their reconciliation, embracing both her heritage and her marriage. I think it's promising, she said, but I have questions about the timeline. Good thing you're having dinner with Lumiere's CEO tonight, he smiled. I hear he values his wife's business acumen enormously. Is that so? She teased back. Absolutely. In fact, there are rumors he refused a recent acquisition opportunity because his wife advised caution. The reference to Nathan's changed leadership style, more collaborative, less autocratic, didn't go unnoticed. This CEO sounds like a man who's learned some valuable lessons, she said softly. The most important being that true partnership multiplies strength rather than dividing it, he replied, his eyes conveying the depth of that understanding. Outside, rain began to fall, pattering against the windows. Neither made a move to leave their cozy corner. They had a dinner reservation across town, meetings tomorrow, an empire to run. But for now, this moment belonged to them alone. To partnership, Eliza said, raising her coffee cup. And to knowing who we really are, Nathan added, completing the toast. As they sipped their coffee in comfortable silence, Eliza reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The betrayal, the confrontation, the painful reconstruction of trust. In the end, it wasn't about who had more power or control. It was about recognizing that true strength came from vulnerability, from admitting mistakes, from choosing love over pride. Nathan watched his wife's expression soften and felt a surge of gratitude for this second chance. He had nearly lost everything that mattered by forgetting who Eliza truly was. Not just an heiress or a brilliant executive, but the woman who challenged him to be better, to see beyond the narrow confines of his ambition. We should get going soon, Eliza said eventually, though she made no move to stand. 5 more minutes, Nathan replied, savoring the moment. The world can wait. And so they sat, hands intertwined, watching the rain transform Brooklyn into a glistening canvas of possibility. Two people who had walked through fire and emerged stronger, wiser, and more deeply connected than before. In the ruthless world of luxury fashion and high finance, they had discovered the most valuable asset of all: a partnership built on equal respect, honest communication, and the courage to begin again.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.